Welcome back, everybody, to another Thursday night class about the Parsha of the week with the explanation and understanding of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh from Chaim Ben Atar. This week's Parsha is Parshas achrei kedoshim. It's yet again a double Parsha. We have two Parshas. This week, in fact, there are tens of mitzvahs between the two Parshas. There's about 80 or so mitzvahs that are commanded in this week's Parsha, one after the other, all on all sorts of various topics. But as always, we will take a look at an opening line in the second parsha. We'll take a look at the Orach Chaim and hopefully gain some insight to what the Orach Chaim has to tell us. So as always, I'll share my screen so we can all see the psukim and the Orach Chaim. So it says the Torah in this week's parsha, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemer. Hashem says to Moshe, saying, Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the entire congregation. The Amarta Aleim, and you will tell them, kedoshim tihiu, they should be holy. Why? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokechem, for I am holy, Hashem your God. So this seems like a general commandment. We should be holy. Kedoshim, we have to be holy. Now, the question obviously is, what does that mean? How do we define holiness? What does that mean? How are we supposed to achieve that? We'll see the Orach Chaim is going to ask. It seems like the rationale is that the same way God is holy, we also have to be holy. Now that's a tall order. How are we expected to be like God? God is beyond our comprehension. The holiness of Hashem is beyond us. So how are we supposed to understand this? So let's take a look at the Orach Chaim HaKadosh and we'll see what he says. It's a couple of pieces that we'll see, so we're going to skip a little bit, but we'll put it all together at the end just to see everything that the Orach Chaim is trying to tell us. So here we go. Tzarich ladas. We need to know. Zoom in a little bit. We need to know mahu hamechuvan shel mitzvah zu. What's the purpose of this mitzvah? What exactly are we supposed to understand from this commandment of be holy? The nira. So he says sheba hakasul loses asay ala haraya. So the previous parsha had talked in the first parsha that we're going to read. It's going to talk about all types of immoral relations that a person is not allowed to have. Shetziva alayim beparsha kudemis belav. All of those were negative commandments. And there was lots and lots of negative commandments. So here, Hosef asay aleihem la'avar aleihem gamba asay. Hashem added a second command, and he said, you have to be holy. Those things that we talked about in the first parsha were negative commandments. Don't do this, don't do that. And by doing those things, we are also not being holy. So we're transgressing this positive command of being holy. That's the first explanation. But he says a second understanding. Od yirtza al derech omram zal. Perhaps we can suggest another way based on what we are taught in the Talmud. In the Gemara, it's a Gemara in Kedushin, and it says as follows. Yeshev Adam v'lo avar avera. If a person sat and he does not transgress anything, nosnim lo schar ka'osa mitzvah. That alone, a person can receive reward as if he performed a good deed, performed a commandment. So simply not doing something somehow has the ability to give us credit, give us the merit of performing a positive commandment. What does that mean? How does that work? And where does that come from? And that's what it means by our pasuk, our verse of kedoshim tihu. We have to be holy. The mitzvahs asay, through a positive commandment. And how is that? When a prohibition comes to our hand, we have the opportunity, so to speak, to perform something that we're prohibited from doing. That we stay away, we distance ourselves from doing it. So a person is walking down the street and somebody is handing out things that are not within our understanding of what we should be reading or something that we should be eating or places that we should be going, whatever it is, and the opportunity is standing right in front of us. And I say to myself, I'm not going to do that. Or somebody tries to engage us in a conversation and talk negative speech about somebody else. And I say, you know what, I'm going to distance myself from this conversation. I'm going to move away. Even though I didn't proactively do a positive commandment, by distancing myself from the negative behaviors, I get credit to bezekaye mitzvahs asay. I fulfill the positive commandment, shenetstavu b'mamar kedoshim tihi, which we're being commanded with this pasuk of be holy. So right now, what it means to be holy is separating from negative behaviors. Anything that we're not supposed to do, if we want to talk badly about somebody, or we want to insult someone, or we're angry or something like that, and we control ourselves, and we hold back from the negative behaviors, that fulfills kedoshim tihiu, that makes us holy. Now, v'hotzi zichron mitzvazu b'loshon zeshel kedoshim. The reason why the term that is used for this is the word kedoshim, which means holy. Lomar, that's to tell you. Shekol hamakayim mitzvazu nikra kadosh. Anybody who fulfills this commandment is considered a kadosh. It's called a kadosh. It's called a holy one, a holy person. Umamar Ramzal, he's quoting a different place that it says that. So now that's a fascinating and very, very empowering comment that the Orach Chaim HaKadosh is telling us. I want to slow it down for a second and just think about this. The reason why the Torah says, Kedoshim Tihiyu, be holy, and the way we do that is by abstaining from negative things that the Torah says, don't do this, and we hold back and we don't do it. So that alone gives us the title. We get the stamp upstairs. We get the label, so to speak, of a holy one. We become holy. It doesn't say you have to do it every single day of your life, every time, and be perfect. It doesn't say that we're never allowed to make a mistake. It says that this is our job. This is what we're supposed to do. And if we do that, it sounds like even once, then we are holy. Obviously, we have to continuously be holy and not just do it once and say, okay, check the box and I'm out of here. But what you see from this is that we have that ability by simply abstaining from something. Now we get called holy, which is a very powerful idea. And therefore, diktek lomar. It's very important to notice what the Torah says. What does it say? It says, Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the entire congregation and say, and tell the Jewish nation as a whole in one big unit, tell them kedoshim tihiyu, you should be holy. Now, generally speaking, when it says the Torah, when Hashem tells Moshe, go speak to the Jewish people, it says something along the lines of, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemar, Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'amar ta'aleim. Tell b'nei Yisrael the following. It doesn't use this word el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. It just says daber el b'nei Yisrael. It would skip kol adas, the entire congregation, the entire community. Why here in this commandment of kedoshim tihiyu, that we should be holy, does the Torah suddenly feel the need to say the entire community all at once? So says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, says v'latam zeh diktek lomar el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Talk to the entire community together. Lomar, to tell us, he mitzvah zu, shemitzvah kedoshim tihiyu, he mitzvah sheyeshna b'chol adam. This is not a commandment that's only for special people. This is not a concept that's only for people that have been trained since they're young to be very, very holy and observant Jews and to be people that always consistently being perfect, so to speak. That's not who it's for. Shekol ish Yisrael Bekayamo mitzvah zu kadosh yomar lo. It doesn't matter. It says kol adas Yisrael. Every Jew on the planet has this ability to be a kadosh, to be a holy person. No matter what level we're at, no matter what place we're at, no matter how old or how young we are, it doesn't make a difference. Each and every one of us can be a kadosh. There is no level that a Jew could be at that he would be unable to attain this concept of being holy. So that is why the Torah says, Daber el kol adas, the entire community, every single person under the sun that is a Jew has the ability to be called a kadosh, to be called a holy one. What do we have to do to achieve that title? We just have to abstain from doing something that we're not supposed to. So that is the first understanding. There's a few other details that he goes here, but for now we're going to pass through it and we're going to skip ahead a little bit, and we're going to see another idea that he talks about. This is the second one of the questions that we had addressed when you read the Psukim. It seems to tell us the reason why we should be kadosh, we should be holy and abstain from negative things is ki kadosh ani, because I am kadosh, meaning Hashem is also holy. Now he asks, says the Orach Chaim, tzarach ladas. We need to know, ma nesinas tam huzeh? What kind of reason is this that we should be holy? V'chi yischayev hadavar liyitzir kapav lihidamos lakono. Can the Creator actually expect that his creations, the things that he fashioned with his hands, should be exactly like the Creator himself? The Eino Musagim B'Yisrael. There are many, many different levels that are applicable and that Hashem has and that are beyond us that we can't achieve. So what kind of reason is it to say, do this because I'm like this too? It's hard to comprehend. Well, we know how God is in a certain level, in a certain way that is beyond us, and it's more than we could achieve. So how can the Torah say, you should be holy because I'm holy too? So now, if you perhaps the reason why Hashem said this is Elokeinu Kadosh, Chafetz Shegam Ovdav Yu Kimoke, V'lo Tama Mischayev. Perhaps the reason why Hashem said this is more to explain why Hashem is commanding this to us, that He wants us to be as close to Him as possible. Okay? We know that there are times the Torah tells us we have to emulate Hashem. The same way Hashem is merciful, we should be merciful. Now, who could possibly be as merciful as Hashem? Nobody. So we have to be as merciful as we can be. The same way Hashem is as merciful as He can be, and therefore as can be. So therefore we emulate Him in the ways that we can. So maybe that's really what the Torah means here, and tell us that we have to be like Hashem, as much as holy as we can, just like to be as close to Hashem as possible. We know, the Torah knows Hashem is telling us, no, I know you're never going to get to be like me. That's not possible. That's not what a human is meant to be. That's me. That's Hashem is the one and only that's like that. But at least let us get as great as we can. Maybe that's what it means. Ki kadosh ani. I'm holy too, and therefore you should be as holy as you could be. So then he says, "V'lo tama mischayv v'ad ata ein ani yodea lama yischayv hakosav lo sitam." Says, why does the Torah suddenly feel the need to tell me this now? We always know in every concept, in every rule that we have in the Torah, there's this idea of being as close to emulate God as best as we can. So why will the Torah specifically put it out over here? Here we go. Rabbi Seinu Zechronim Lavracha, our rabbis taught, they had this feeling. They were bothered by this. The Darshu B'Taras Kohanim V'Zel and they said the following: Im atem mekadchem atzmachem, if you make yourself holy, ma'alani aleichem ki'ilu kedashtem osi, I will make it as if you had made me holy, me Hashem holy. This is what the Torah means. Hodata to'eles hanimshach. It's telling us how powerful our ability is. Hodata hofcho k'mo shesiyem sham hatana. And if God forbid we do not sanctify ourselves, I will make it as if you are ki'ilu lo kidashtem, as if you have not sanctified me. And this is perhaps what the Torah means, why it's constantly telling us, tell the Jewish people, say to the Jewish people that we have to be holy, is because it's telling us that there's this correlation and this relationship between us and Hashem. Hashem says, when you make yourself holy, you know what kind of credit I'm going to give you? You know how powerful that is? It's going to be as if you sanctified me. As if you somehow were able to go ahead and made God more sanctified, more kadosh. God forbid the opposite. If we do something we're not supposed to, it's as if we're pulling Hashem down himself, and we've ruined the sanctity of Hashem, God forbid. Now, obviously, Hashem is on his own, but we're talking about our capabilities here. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh is telling us what we can achieve and how great we are and the power of what each and every one of us contains. And therefore, he tells us, that's why it says, Ki Kadosh Ani. Let's take a look at the Psukim one more time. Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael, tell the entire Jewish nation, v'amarta aleim, you'll tell them, Kedoshim to you. You should be as holy as possible. Why? Not ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem, that I, God, Hashem your God, am also kadosh, and I want you to be like me. But rather, by you being kadosh, ki kadosh ani, that makes me kadosh, that makes me holy. When you sanctify yourself, says Hashem, that makes it as if I have been elevated and I have been made more holy because of you. We have the ability to influence, so to speak, and have that sense of being able to influence Hashem and how Hashem can be made holy and be sanctified. And that's what the Torah is telling us over here, what the Orach Chaim HaKadosh is giving us, and the reason why the Torah repeats these words, Ki Kadosh Ani, that I am Kadosh. So now let's put the two pieces together. Let's think about what all these two pieces of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh are telling us, and it gives us a certain sense. We can hold our heads up high. We can walk around with such a tremendous understanding of our ability of who we are and what difference we can make in ourselves, in the world, and even to Hashem. So the first thing that the Orach Chaim HaKadosh told us was Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Why does it suddenly say speak to everybody, the entire community? Why? The reason why is because the message that is being contained here is for the most ultra-Orthodox, the most religious person on the planet, to the person that has zero affiliation to Judaism. Doesn't matter where we are, anywhere in between those two sides of the spectrum, from one extreme to the other, everybody in the middle from one end to the other, no matter what, can attain and reach this following message. What message? Ne'amarta aleihim, and tell every single Jew, kedoshim to you, you have the ability to be kadosh. You have the ability to be called somebody that is holy. How are we to be called holy? The Orach Chaim HaKadosh told us the way a person is holy is simply even just not doing something we're not supposed to. Abstaining from something that we're not supposed to do, that makes us holy. Now, you know what happens when we make ourselves holy? Ki kadosh ani Hashem Elokeichem. It's as if we made Hashem himself even more holy than he already is. And we have the ability to raise up Hashem, so to speak, and we have the ability to raise up our surroundings. We have the ability to raise up and make ourselves kadosh. There's a very, very powerful idea that our actions is not something that is only relevant to ourselves or to the moment and the specific situation and the scenario that we're in. Rather, every single action that we do doesn't have just minor effects. Rather, it has cosmic effects. It has an effect in a tremendous, tremendous manner. There's a very famous story. I've said it here before. The story is with the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim, he had a yeshiva in Radin. Rabbi Yisrael Meir HaKohen Kagan. He had a yeshiva in Radin, and he was a tremendous, tremendous individual. And one day he walks in and he bangs on the bima and he starts saying Tehillim. And they're praying and praying, and there's some disaster was occurring, some bad situation was happening, and the Chavetz Chaim said, we all have to say Tehillim for this. And then afterwards, they asked him, Rebbe, why are we saying Tehillim? He told them, you didn't hear. In the United States, the Mississippi River is overflowing. He looks at him, Rabbi, that's in the United States. We're here in Europe. What does that have to do with us? Why are we saying Tehillim about the Mississippi River? Are there Jews that are being involved, that are being affected? And he said, no. I don't know if there are Jews there or not. That's not the point. Everything that occurs in this world is because of us, because of what we can do. If things are going wrong, that's because we're not being the best that we could. We have to be better. And therefore, we have to say to him, we have to pray that we should be better and that people should be okay. And our actions affect even something as far as a different country, something that we never see, that may not have any effect on us directly in a physical sense. That is our ability. That's the lesson that the Orach Chaim HaKadosh is giving us. He's telling us, Ki kadosh ani, that I am kadosh, not that we have to live up as best as we can to be like Hashem, but rather when we abstain from bad things and we don't do the things that Hashem doesn't want us to do, and instead we do the things that Hashem wants us to do, we elevate ourselves, we get this stamp, said the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, we get called a kadosh, we get called holy, we get called sanctified, and that has the ability to, so to speak, raise up Hashem himself and make him holy, even holier. Now he says, obviously, that to the detriment, it could be to the other side, but let's focus on what we can do as opposed to what somebody might do that would be bad. What we can do is we have the ability to affect ourselves, our surroundings, the entire world, and even Hashem in a tremendous, tremendous way. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to address. So thank you so much for coming this evening. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see you next week.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Have a good Shabbos.
You too very much. Look forward to see you. We'll see you soon, and enjoyed the shir very much.
Mitzvah Hashem, looking forward.
Okay. Shabbos.